Good evening.
To the 2019 Martin Ennals Award. C'est avec plaisir.
It's with pleasure and emotion that we're going to share this evening, the purpose of which is to honor in particular 3 defenders of human rights defenders.
Standing human rights defenders who are the laureates of this year's edition. As you may know, Geneva, City of Geneva, plays a very important role in the organization and the funding of the Martin Ennals Award. I then have the pleasure to call soon Madame Sandrine Salerno, Deputy Mayor of the City of Geneva, who's going to tell you more about that. But first of all, I'd like to greet a list, quite a big list of important people. Madame la haute commissaire adjointe des Nations Unies aux droits de l'homme, mesdames et messieurs les représentants du corps diplomatique,
representatives of the diplomatic corps, representatives of international organizations, the special representative of the European Union for Human Rights, the European Parliament member, the representative of the Confederation at the Mission at the United Nations, the representatives of the Swiss Parliament, of the Geneva Parliament, the rector of the University of Geneva, the mayor of Grand Saconnet, municipal councillors, the president of the Martin Ennals Foundation, members of the jury, ladies and members of civil society, finalists, shortlisted, excellencies, and now going to give the floor to the Deputy Mayor Sandrine Salerno. Welcome, Madam.
Mesdames et messieurs.
Ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, thank you, Mrs. Sommer, for having greeted the representatives here this evening, and thank you for accepting to MC this evening. This is a particular moment for the City of Geneva. It's a moment which is very close to its heart, the 25th ceremony of the award ceremony of the Martin Ennals Prize. This is a prize that's some of you are familiar with. Martin Ennals was an extraordinary person, human rights defender, but via the organizations, non-governmental organizations and associations that mobilized in Geneva and throughout the world to give real meaning to human rights, to rights of men, women, children, men and women throughout the world. This evening, this is an exceptional event, first of all, full of emotion. We are going to listen to exceptional personalities with particular faiths who are going to bear witness, who've come from very far in difficult conditions to talk to us about their fight which is particular in the area where they live, a fight which is important for all of us because they are speaking to the human beings that we all are wherever we live, and with a lot of emotion and happiness. I'm representing the Municipal Council at every prize ceremony. I have mixed feelings. I feel pride because I represent the City of Geneva, my city, that's hosts many international organizations, diplomatic missions, the headquarters of non-governmental organizations that are defending human rights, defending them financially, because every year they develop projects, they support projects in the area of human rights, and this enables the award ceremony for the Martin Ennals Prize to take place in Geneva. At the same time, we look at what we are about and try and protect our citizens, because discrimination, shortcomings in the area of human rights exist everywhere in the world, even in Geneva, and the City of Geneva obviously wants to protect peoples that are within its walls. So there is some pride there happiness, and every time we award this prize, there's also a feeling of revolt and anger, because all of us, we would like the Martin Ennals Prize to no longer exist, and that the rights of everyone in the world be respected, and that we would no longer need extremely courageous men and women at the risk of losing their life are fighting because of their conception of humanity, and to see to that human dignity is respected. This is not the case, unfortunately. Unfortunately, we're going to listen to witness statements which are very difficult to hear. And I mentioned Geneva. There are other countries which could be mentioned: Turkey, Syria, Russia, Burma, Colombia, Venezuela, where everywhere in the world human rights are under attack. Every time those who stand up and fight and defend fundamental rights do this at the risk of losing their lives or seeing their relatives being attacked, very often human rights defenders are not the only target of attacks, but their close ones are also under attack. And these men and women are teachers, are farmers, workers, journalists, lawyers. They are mothers, fathers, sisters, brothers. These are men and women like you and me, whose only crime is to try and defend human dignity and to stand up to states, sometimes barbaric states, that believe that might is right and organize repression against their own people. So this evening we are awarding the Martin Ennals Prize. This sounds perhaps banal to some, but if you read today's daily, Le Temps, we realize that this prize is very important for Geneva, for non-governmental organizations who try and protect their activists in the various countries. It's very important indeed for the men and women who come to Geneva to stand up on this stage and talk about their fight. It's an essential prize for them, for all those who defend human rights. It's essential for the City of Geneva, who wants to be a city that defends human rights, that will continue to do so despite the pressure of states to remain an open city where we can talk and express one's views and be heard by states within the United Nations family, that we would like to see recognize these rights and encourage their people to live in conditions that are worthy of human beings. I'd also like to thank the members of the Martin Ennals Prize jury that year after year take on this very delicate mission to choose a few exceptional persons, whereas in their network they know so many of them. And in particular, I would like to greet Hans Thulen, who's in the first row. He came along to see me in 2007 when I started working for the City of Geneva with the idea that we would support this Martin Ennals Prize, who's throughout his life has been at the side of human rights defenders, who found the right words to encourage me to take part in this effort and to help develop this project, which is so close to the heart of Geneva. So thank you for coming along, all of you. We've shown once again that this attachment to the defense of human rights is a real attachment which is felt in the hearts of all Geneva citizens. And on behalf of the Administrative Council, I'm very proud indeed to see this room filled to the gills with human rights defenders and committed Geneva citizens. Thank you, one and all.
Merci à vous, Madame Salerno.
Thank you, Mrs. Salerno. We wanted, in fact, to speak about Hans Thulen.
It's nothing less than one of the founders of the Martin Ennals Award 25 years ago, and he's here with us. C'est donc l'un des fondateurs du prix.
He's one of the founders of this prize. It's the last time he's going to attend, and we would like to hear what he has to say.
Bonsoir.
Good evening.
When you created the Martin Ennals Award 25 years ago, what were you hoping to achieve? What was your dream then?
Martin Ennals was a very inspiring kind of person. And he not only led Amnesty International in those days, but he helped other organizations, other NGOs, and he became the kind of father figure of the whole then very young human rights movement. And he wanted them to work together. So when he died in 1992, it seems to me and a number of other people logical to create an award in his name to express this support for human rights defenders from the whole community. So when, after a few years, with the help of many people, it became a success, and some newspaper even started saying, you're a kind of Nobel Prize for Human Rights, then I thought, well, why not? After all, there is no Nobel Prize for Human Rights, so maybe we should be it.
So after all this work, you can tell us, we are just among ourselves, why are you leaving?
Yeah. Okay, when I met Martin Ennals in the mid-80s in Geneva, he was just leaving Amnesty International. And I asked him, why? It's such a success. Why are you leaving? And I remember the rather quirky and funny response he gave, very English sense of humor. He said, Hans, suicide before patricide. Now, I want to reassure you, there's nothing like that going on at the moment. I am leaving totally out of my free will because I think rotation is a very healthy principle, and I think 25 years is long enough by any standards. So, and on top of it, I'm leaving it in very able hands. So I'm happy to step back.
So will we still be seeing you in Geneva, around in Switzerland? Will you be around, or are you going off on an island, disappear?
I live already on an island. No, I'm afraid that Geneva has not seen the back of me. It remains the hub for human rights. Thanks to many people, in particular Sandrine, so I'm very happy to return the compliment. Thanks for you and others. I will continue to come back. I'm still very active in a small organization called True Heroes Films, which makes films for human rights defenders, including what you will see tonight in films. I still run a blog on human rights defenders. And the good news is I'm allowed to continue for a few more years as the chairman of the jury, non-voting. And it is a great pleasure to do that because that's the most fascinating there is. And I want to thank also the 10 organizations on the jury that for the excellent expertise and cooperation they bring.
So I guess you have some news for us tonight, that's the reason why we're all here. Who are the finalists and who is the laureate of this 2019 edition?
Yeah. Well, as chairman of the jury, of course, I know. We honor, of course, today 3 human rights defenders among many. Only 3. But they are all people who fight every day for the rights of others, and often at personal risk. You know already who the 3 finalists are, so I'm not going to say anything. They will speak themselves. You will show the films. So I just want to welcome them because they are here in one way or another. There is Marino Cordoba Berrio. He is here in front of us. He is a You can applaud him many times tonight, I hope. Marino is an Afro-Colombian whose community is under great pressure in Colombia, struggling for the rights of their group and other ethnic groups, and all of that in a country where in the last 2 years, 400 community leaders have been killed. We also have Eren Keskin from Turkey. She is a lawyer, engaged for 30 years already in the work for the rights of women, the Kurds, the LGBTI community. Recently, she was sentenced to 12.5 years in prison for supporting a newspaper. She was not allowed to come, no passport was given, but we hope she will be here tonight through the internet, and I hope she's watching at the moment. And then there is Abdul Aziz Muhamat, who fled the war in Darfur, Sudan. On his way to Australia, he was forcibly transferred to the island of Manus in Papua New Guinea as part of Australia's offshore refugee policy. In the 5 years that he was there, he suffered, of course, like the others, or hundreds of refugees and asylum seekers, deprivation, harassment, violence. Then, remarkable, he became the spokesperson for these people, and at risk for his own well-being, he tries to inform us on what is really happening there. So, these are the three, all equally good. And I have a great honor to announce that the winner, the laureate of this year's Martin Ennals Award for Human Rights Defenders is Aziz. Thank you for coming.
Et nous aurons l'occasion d'entendre.
We will hear Abdul Aziz Muhamat.
Of course, and we all want to hear Abdul Aziz Muhamat in a moment. But first of all, we wanted to stop because we've heard his name a lot, this Martin Ennals. So who is Martin Ennals? Qui est l'homme qui a donné son nom?
Who's the man behind this prize? Here's a film to explain all what Martin Ennals was about.
We criticize universally because human rights are universal, even if they're universally disregarded. I think there is less cynicism about human rights in a curious way than there was. There is still double talk, double standards. There always will be. We can never be out of date. There will always be infringements of human rights. And the work which we were doing is part of the overall pattern of human development. Whatever the political system, whatever the country, whatever the cultural background, whatever the religion.
Maintenant dans le vif de cette cérémonie, faire connaître.
So now we are going to come to know the three finalists, and then there'll be the award ceremony, but we want to listen to what they have to say.
Each of the finalists with a short film. We have the actual ceremony, award ceremony, and most of all, we will have the chance to hear them speak about their brave fight. Notre premier finaliste, Marino Cordoba, a dû fuir son pays.
The first speaker, Mr. Colombo,
defend his community. His life is still in danger nowadays. Here's the film about Marino Cordoba.
Tuve que huir y en mi huida los actores armados me buscaban porque era un líder comunitario, una persona que trabajaba y defendía los derechos de las comunidades. Tuve que salir a Estados Unidos, donde tuve asilo político, y tuve que regresar a Colombia porque me siento que aquí soy útil. En Colombia ha habido toda una historia de segregación de los pueblos étnicos afrocolombianos e indígenas, de negación, de exclusión y de marginalización histórica. Mi papá fue mi maestro desde muy pequeño en las responsabilidades comunitarias.
Sé que esta tarea no es fácil. Estoy preocupado por el trabajo que él hace. Desde joven venía muy metido en los procesos comunitarios porque es que yo fui un líder a mucho honor reconocido, ¿entiendes? Y se dice que de los padres se hereda algo. ¿Yo? Sí.
Después de 22 años, este año decidí volver a mi pueblo, Río Sucio. Es un compromiso de vida, es algo que siento en mi corazón, algo que me motiva a hacer. Pues yo tengo un esquema de seguridad protegiéndome todo el tiempo, carro blindado, escoltas, pero muchos otros líderes en las zonas rurales no tienen ese tipo de medidas. Hay un incremento más alto de que pueden ser asesinados, desaparecidos, torturados. La historia nuestra no ha sido contada. Todo el proceso de la esclavitud y cómo los que huyeron de los esclavizadores se ubicaron en algunos lugares estratégicos para desde ahí defender su libertad, el derecho a la vida. En el año 59, el Estado colombiano negó de posesión tradicional de esas tierras a las comunidades. Se inicia todo un proceso de lucha y eso nos llevó a que en la Constitución de 1991 se reconocen derechos a los grupos étnicos, a los indígenas y a los afrocolombianos. Pero no solamente de la propiedad del territorio, empezamos a hablar también de cómo cuidar el medio ambiente, la madre tierra, el agua, los recursos naturales y minerales que ahí están. Ese es un territorio lleno de recursos naturales, de mucha riqueza natural, que las empresas quieren sin dejar ningún beneficio a las comunidades. Los empresarios son los que pagan a los grupos armados en la región, guerrilla, paramilitares, narcotraficantes, delincuencia organizada, para que estos grupos juegan un papel de destruir comunidades, de afectación colectiva a las comunidades. Diferir significa sentencia de muerte. No hay Estado. Esas comunidades no carecían de servicios de salud, de educación, de vías de acceso. La comunidad se organizó, y es decir, los permisos para extraer los recursos naturales, tanto forestales como minerales, deben de pasar por el consentimiento de los consejos comunitarios. En Colombia se empieza entonces a hacer una presión hacia las comunidades para romper todo el esquema organizativo de la comunidad, romperlos, con asesinar a sus líderes, con desplazar a las comunidades para que entonces los empresarios puedan llegar y hacer uso de los recursos naturales sin ningún tipo de impedimento. La guerra llega a nuestras regiones. Que ha tenido que salir por el conflicto y está aquí en el pueblo. Pueden haber unas cifras muy por encima, pero para poder identificar eso tenemos que hacer una caracterización. Aquí también bastante complicado, ustedes saben que también es el tema de derechos humanos. Es el temor, el miedo que tiene la gente de hablar, de denunciar, quién te puede escuchar, quién te puede venir a hacer daño físico. El impacto del proceso de paz en las comunidades realmente no se ha sentido. Yo quiero ser presidente de Colombia, yo quiero ser ministro. Muchachos, pensarse y discutir por eso que ustedes quieren ser en el futuro. Porque es que la sociedad... Es muy triste ver jóvenes siendo asesinados porque han caído en la drogadicción o hacen parte de pandillas. Si los jóvenes están pidiendo que se les apoye, que no los maten, quieren educación, quieren trabajo, quieren servir a la sociedad sin hacerle daño. Mi trabajo es encontrar con ellos, tocar puertas, tanto a nivel nacional como a nivel internacional, que se les apoye para cambiar su mundo. Aquí no hay jubilación, aquí no hay vacaciones, aquí no hay marcha atrás, como dice uno. Nuestras comunidades no tienen esa posibilidad de salir a decirlo. Están en medio de los actores armados, que son los que tienen dominio sobre sus vidas y sobre sus decisiones, y mientras estén ahí no pueden hablar. Yo he tenido la suerte en la vida de estar vivo, de salir, de hablar, de denunciar, pero más allá de ello, es de aportar a la construcción del país que quiero, de la sociedad que quiero, del mundo que me sueño es mejor para nosotros. Se siente miedo. Es de humano sentir miedo en medio de conflictos, pero el miedo no puede ser asumido desde el punto de vista de impedir que hay que hacer cosas. El miedo también hay que aprovecharlo de manera positiva para poder hacer cosas, dar fuerza, ánimo.
Et c'est Madame Salerno, vice-présidente du conseil administratif de la ville de Genève, qui va récompenser Marino Cordoba.
So, Mrs. Salerno.
Madame Salerno, vice-president of the City of Geneva. Je vous attends tous les deux sur scène.
Please come to the stage.
Muchas gracias. Thank you very much. I just wanted to say a few words in Spanish to send a message
to my people in Colombia. Este reconocimiento internacional va para todas las víctimas del conflicto armado y para todos los líderes que han sido asesinados en mi país y por aquellos que luchan y siguen luchando por justicia y por verdad en mi país. I said that this recognition goes straight to those people in my country, especially people from my organization, those who have suffered just like myself. So this recognition is also for those who have died, who lost their life fighting for justice and to defend other people. I just want to congratulate my colleague, Abdul Aziz, for being the 2019 Martin Ennals Award winner. The work that he does on behalf of thousands of people remind me of the terrible journey that our ancestors once kidnapped from the land and whose freedom was taken away and were forced into slavery. They were sold, treated as no human being, and brought to the diaspora. Again, their will to work harder than everybody else for free, so others gain. Thank you. Understanding the challenges we must undertake just to succeed, not only educate us. In my case, it led me to understand that my struggle, that is important and necessary, is not the only struggle that deserves support in this world. Every day, I learn of other injustice and realities just as or more complex than mine. Today's recognition is not about which of the three finalists is chosen. It's about the privileged opportunity to give due international attention to the three important causes: one, of fighting for basic human survival while fleeing war in Darfur, as the case of Aziz, who has been in the island of Manus, Papua New Guinea, as part of Australia's offshore refugee policy. The cause led by Eren Keskin in Turkey, where she was sentenced to 12.5 years in prison, and the Afro-Colombian recognition for basic human and civil rights in Colombia. The movements we three represent are all important and required support from the international community. I am a human rights defender, displaced, and survivor of the military and paramilitary action referred to as Operation Genesis. in my home region of Rio Sucio in Colombia. This operation occurred between 1996 and 1997 against the civilian population in my town, where more than 12,000 Black and indigenous people of that community were displaced, dozens disappeared, and unknown number were assassinated. This paramilitary attack occurred after Black community received land title from the national government, which made them private owners from an ancestral territory for the first time in Colombia history. For more than 500 years, this community had preserved through their traditions a region of the world with one of the highest concentration of biodiversity and cultural richness. Colombia political constitution incorporates many articles from the Declaration of the Human Rights that guarantee the fundamental rights for its citizens. But in practice, we do not see effective guarantees for our protection, especially not those of us who fight for rights. During 2018, 176 people were killed who exercised political and community leadership, of whom 140 led social or community process. Most of them were defense of human rights. This means every 2 days, a leader is killed in my country. The Colombia state pays lead services to the issue, but does not take necessary steps to safeguard our life. We do not have a justice system that quickly clarifies crime and punishment those responsible. Rather, almost all human rights crimes remain without justice. When the authorities do not investigate cases, it raises the following question. Could it be that they are the same authorities responsible for those murders? Why are there investigations into other types of cases so quick, efficient, and resulting in punishment? Between November 2016 and October 2018, more than 400 Colombians were killed in the exercise of the promotion and defense of the human rights. And just this year, 16 leaders have been killed. In my country, the number of organizations, the members of my organization are all victims of the war that we did not choose to be part of. We are men and women who had families in ancestral right to private property, families that once owned land in the community and region today are displaced in city without property, without job, and without rights. Our children do not have proper access to education and employment, so they ended up being recruited into the group fighting the war. After more than 50 years of internal armed conflict, a good number of Colombians have lost the dream of a country where there is a justice and equality. Another part of society continues to build bridges to dialogue. We continue to seek peaceful coexistence and offer the authority a better alternative for how to treat other humans. But let me tell you this. Without the right to be wrong, because of the fate of the war, a large part of private or privileged society of my country is ill, has mental health problems. They are full of hatred and revenge. This is a serious disease. This part of Colombia society only sees war without the large screen, television screen and series in their apartment. They live with armed guard day and night. Since they live a bubble, they think that the only way to solve historical social problem is to go to war. However, it is not them nor the children who fight this war or are exposed to armed confrontation. This war is fought by my brothers, my children, or the children of the poor families. This society requires mental health treatment. From the ethnic, Afro-descendant and indigenous community and civil society organization, we will not give up. In our dream of a sustainable peace, we will continue to defend the peace agreement signed between the Colombian government and the FARC guerrillas. Because we were a third actor that negotiated what is known as the ethnic chapter, that was our most important contribution to the peace of my country, that guarantees our inclusion as an ethnic group and guarantees our active participation in its implementation. This important inclusion was possible thanks to support of government and civil societies from the United States and Europe. We are aware that there are some politicians and economic sectors that oppose the implementation of the peace accord. They fear the truth that exists behind the war. If victims do not attain truth, we cannot heal. They cannot reconciliate, nor can they forgive. As a victims, we all want us to know the truth behind this unjust war that destroy and continue to destroy life. Since the end of the World War II, organizations and individuals throughout the world has tirelessly worked to demand global protection of human rights defenders, who in turn lead organizations that promote human rights in all nations. The world improves when those of us from civil society have the space to push government to make changes and provide solutions. There are many other acts of injustice out there that result in much pain and suffering that needs solidarity. Many thanks and congratulations to the jury of Martin Ennals for their work. The international community as a whole and civil society in particular are the guardians of humanity. Our role continues to be a steadfast determination to preserve peace, dignity, justice, and democracy. Colombia might be a signatory of numbers of human rights conventions, yet it's one of the countries where most of the contents of those conventions is violated. I close by inviting you to join me in building our dream of a secure, peace, and just society for all Colombians. I invite you to continue supporting the struggle that men and women do every day in our countries, but also the struggle for justice, peace, and democracy that many other people unknown to the world continue giving to the world. So thank you very much.
Do not forget. We go on with the lifelong defender of human rights in Turkey this time. Mrs. Eren Keskin is a brave woman, indeed, who through her work as a lawyer has endlessly defended the fundamental rights. She's facing several years in prison for a ludicrous high number of offenses. One of them, I give you an example, being that she insulted the Turkish president. C'est une femme qui se bat courageusement depuis plus de 30 ans. L'avocate Eren Keskin défend en Turquie notamment le droit de plusieurs minorités, dont les Kurdes notamment. Elle est en ce moment condamnée à plusieurs années de prison et pour vous donner une idée une des accusations qui lui est reprochée, c'est d'avoir insulté le président turc. Nous faisons la connaissance de Madame Keskin.
Davadan çok şunu söyleyebilirim. Benim çok arkadaşım öldürüldü. Bunun dışında ben bu coğrafyanın en büyük sorununun ve yüzyılın ilk büyük suçunun Ermeni soykırımı olduğuna hep inandım. Ve ondan sonraki muhaliflere yönelik her türlü baskı eylemi, Kürt meselesi, Ermeni soykırımı, bütün bunlar benim için belirleyici şeyler. Vazgeçmemi de engelleyen gerçekler bunlar. Korkuyorsunuz yaptığınız iş sırasında tabii ki, çünkü tedirginlikleriniz oluyor, ama şunu öğrendim bu mücadele boyuncaki: cesaret insanı en çok koruyan şey. Yani cesur olmak zorundasınız.
İdama karşı olmak Türkiye'de,
hele bir Kürdün idamına.
bir Kürdün idamına karşı olmak terörist damgası yemekti.
Tabii. Nasıl oldu?
Bir tane kadın, ya Urfa çok kötüydü gerçekten.
Urfa zaten şu anda bütün Türkiye ve Kürdistan'da en kötü yer.
Evet, öyleymiş.
Sizi orada tanımadıkları için, mesela Urfa'da tanıyorlar genelde
Tabii,
insanları.
tabii.
Bazılarına karşı biliyorlar, hani ihade bilmem ne yapmayabiliyorlar, ama sizi tanımadıkları için
Tabii.
tamamen iradeyi kırmaya
Tabii
yönelik.
mesela Adana Emniyeti ne baktığımızda yani adamlar seceremizi biliyorlar
Tabii.
falan.
Tek çocuk musun?
Ya benim 3 tane.
Öyle mi?
Tabii.
Maşallah.
3 tane. Bazen diyorlar. Hani 25 yıldır tanıyoruz seni. Hani gerçekten öyle Adana'da 25 yıllık bir geçmişim var alanlarda. O 25 yıldır ya gözaltındasın ya cezaevindesin.
Ne ara?
Bunlar ne ara? Ben de dedim ya işte boş vakitlerimde yaptım falan ya.
Yani o işte sanık olduğunuz dosya. Bizim şikayetçi olduğumuz dosya için almamak. Benim çocukluk yıllarımda gençler, bir grup genç devlet tarafından suçlu ilan edilerek her yerde aranmaya başlar. Ve sonra onlar sadece düşünceleri nedeniyle yargılanıp idam edildiler. Bu beni çok etkiledi, bu olay, ve özellikle idamın çok kötü bir cezalandırma biçimi olduğunu düşündüm ve böyle insanları savunmak gerekir düşüncesine kapıldım. Şimdi bir kere insan hakları mücadelesi bir yaşam biçimi haline geliyor. Yaşamımı bütünüyle etkiledi. 2 kere ölümden döndüm. Yani 2 kez silahlı saldırı yaşadım. 6 ay cezaevinde kaldım. Şiddetin çok içselleştirildiği bir coğrafyada yaşıyoruz. Aslında Türkiye Cumhuriyeti kurulduğundan bu yana insan hakları ihlalleri var. Düşünce ve ifade özgürlüğünün en çok baskı altında olduğu süreç diye tanımlayabilirim. İçeride bu kadar baskının olduğu bir coğrafyada uluslararası dayanışma çok önemli. Yani bana göre uluslararası dayanışma bizi koruyan bir dayanışma biçimi.
Ben orada oturmuyorum. Ben orayı boşaltalara ait. Arkadaşım karnından, elinden yaralı. Bütün ev kan revan içerisinde. Ekip gelir gelmez. Yani hani hiç olayı sorgulama yok. Hani kim aradı, niye aradı, yaralanan kim, saldıran kim, bunların hiçbirini sormadan direkt şöyle bir baktılar. Ortada bir tane trans kadın var. Direkt bana saldırmaya kalkıştı. Sonra ben ağladım. Bana dedi ki niye ağlıyorsun, suçlu olduğun için mi ağlıyorsun dedi. Ben dedim ki
nasıl baş ediyorsunuz? Yardım alıyor musunuz? Yani hep bu sorular sorulur. Beni en çok iyileştiren şey kedilerimle olan ilişkilerim. Duygusallık olmadan, yani kendinizi o işe yakın hissetmeden, karşınızdakini anlamadan yapılacak bir iş değil, alan değil, insan hakları alanı. Eğer yeni bir Eren Keskin doğacak olsaydı ve ben de ona önerilerde bulunacak olsaydım söylerdim, yani devletin resmi ideolojisi, sana dayattığı resmi ideolojiye inanma. Sana okullarda öğretilen resmi tarihe inanma. Sorgula, doğruyu aramaya çalış. Her yerden dinle, tek bir yerden dinleme. Araştır, hemen inanma derdim. 143 dava var şu anda hakkımda. Toplam 12,5 yıl hapis cezası var ve bunları çok kısa bir süre sonra kesinleşecek ve cezaevine gireceğim şimdiki yasaya göre. Çok yüksek para cezaları var hakkımda. Yani ben bu mücadeleyi cezaevinde de olsa yapmak kararlılığındayım. Çünkü insanların düşünceleri nedeniyle yargılanamayacaklarını düşünüyorum. Ben kimseye şiddet uygulamadım. tabii ki tedirgin ediyor beni. Çünkü benim yaşlı bir annem var, 85 yaşında. Ona bakmak zorundayım. 3 tane kedim var. Evim kira. Yani bütün bunlar hayatla ilgili şeyler. Yani bunlarla nasıl baş ederim diye tabii ki düşünüyorum. Bunlar tedirginlik yaratıyor. Ben cezaevine girdiğimde işte anneme kim bakacak, kedilerime kim bakacak, evimin kirasını nasıl ödemeye devam ederim ya da evimi mi kapatacağım. Bunların kararlarını verdim en azından. Bu ön çalışmalarımı yaptım. Hazırlıklarımı yaptım. Şimdi bekliyorum artık.
Et malheureusement, Madame Eren Keskin, comme vous l'avez entendu, n'a pas obtenu son passeport.
Unfortunately, Mrs. Keskin cannot travel. She's represented by Professor Bilgin Ataya, who's going to come up stage, as well as Mr. Stavros Lambrinis, the special representative to the defense of human rights of the European Union.
In person by Madame the Professor Bilgin Ayata to give the award, the European Union Special Representative for Human Rights. So I have a request from the photograph, if you could come sit in front of here. Maybe you can put it down.
Thank you. Well, you can imagine what kind of an ambivalent feeling is to receive an award that is not for you, but you're, of course, I'm here as an humble messenger, and I very much hope to soon deliver her this important award in person safely to Turkey. As you heard, Eren Keskin cannot be here today as the Turkish state once again has not allowed her to leave the country. You have seen in the video already the different penalties and punishments she's already has been receiving. I'm very deeply honored and humbled to represent her today, even this is an impossible task, of course. I would just like to maybe very briefly portray also from a scholar who's working on Turkey and who has worked with her together for many years, the importance of her work that she has for so many of us. While the Turkish state has been persecuting Eren Keskin for many decades, she has not stopped even for a moment to relentlessly pursue truth, justice, freedom, dignity, and equality for every human being whose rights have been violated. She is feared by the oppressors in Turkey and cherished and loved by those oppressed because she defends the disenfranchised, the dispossessed, and the displaced in Turkey. But Eren Keskin does not only fight against the violations of human rights of the living, she also struggles for the missing and the dead, for the right to be remembered and honored in dignity. She does so when she fearlessly helps families to retrieve the mutilated bodies of Kurdish guerrillas from mass graves, when she gathers with the Saturday Mothers in Istanbul, or she struggles for the recognition of the Armenian genocide way long before anyone else was doing so in Turkey. She has been breaking one official taboo after another, always defending those who were deemed to be undefendable by the state. With her work, Eren Keskin has been for the past 30 years writing an alternative history of Turkey, one that has helped not only to disclose the past and present forms of state violence, but also has helped to confront ingrained militaristic, racist, sexist, and homophobic structures in state and society. I was fortunate to work closely with Eren Keskin in her initiative on sexual violence in prisons and under police custody, and I've been admiring and learning from her wisdom ever since. At the beginning, when she would share unbearable stories of torture and violence that she witnessed as part of her work, I would ask myself how she does not get crushed by the weight of this immense archive of pain and injustice that she has accumulated over the years. But the more I got to know her, I came to realize that for one, there's actually no power that is strong enough to silence her. Furthermore, I also realized that for Eren Keskin, knowing means to act, to voice, to struggle, irrespective how impossible the conditions are. This is what distinguishes sincere human rights defenders from political opportunists who can look away when the conditions are not suitable or the privileges are endangered. For Eren Keskin, knowledge comes with responsibility, and it is this responsibility towards the histories and experiences of the victims, their families, and the collective histories of injustice that makes her fight with the same dedication today as she did 30 years ago. She once said that the source of her dedication to human rights is love for this world, for humanity. I believe that this is also the source of her incredible humility, grace, and beauty. She's a true cosmopolitan at heart, even though most of the cases, legal cases against her, relate to her struggle for the Kurds and Kurdistan. She takes issue not only with the Turkish state, but also with the double standards of other states, be it in Europe or elsewhere. In these times, when fundamental rights are being threatened all over the world by political and private authorities, it is very important and meaningful that her legendary human rights struggle of Eren Keskin is internationally recognized with this award and this nomination. Yet due to her grave situation in Turkey, it is of course not only acknowledgement, but solidarity and concrete actions that are urgently needed, not only for her as a leading human rights defender, but of course all of those persecuted and imprisoned by the Turkish state for political reasons. I wanted just to highlight that since we're here in Switzerland and in Europe have many, many important possibilities for that, given the strategic role that Turkey has in many ways for European interests. If we're lucky enough, we can now also...
Unfortunately, the live feed with Eren cannot be achieved, so we will have to... She will tell us a few words that we've been recorded, we recorded earlier.
Well, then on behalf of her, I would like to thank you in live, but she will also express some words now that were recorded before. Thank you very much.
Thank you to you.
Benim yaşadığım coğrafya insan hakları açısından iç kamuoyunun son derece sessiz bırakıldığı, korkutulduğu bir coğrafya. Bu nedenle insan hakları savunucuları olarak bizim uluslararası desteğe çok büyük bir ihtiyacımız var. Bizim için çok koruyucu bir nitelik taşıyor. Aynı zamanda ödüller de böyle bir anlam taşıyor. Martin Ennals ödülleri insan hakları alanında bütün dünyada bilinen son derece önemli ve onur verici bir ödül. Bu nedenle beni bu ödüle aday gösterdiğiniz için çok teşekkür ediyorum. Benim için anlamı yanında, onuru yanında beni koruduğunu da düşünüyorum böyle bir ödüle aday gösterilmenin. Çok teşekkür ederim.
Thank you. We will now have the honor and pleasure to welcome Madam Kate Gilmore, United Nations Deputy High Commissioner for Human Rights, who will tell us more about the task that's hers at the moment. J'accueille Madame Kate Gilmore, la haute commissaire adjointe des Nations Unies aux droits de l'homme, pour évoquer la situation aujourd'hui dans le monde de ces fameux droits humains. Welcome.
Thank you very much. Indeed, it's an enormous joy. Indeed, a privilege and a humbling one at that, to be just one amongst this global community of courageous defenders of human rights and their supporters, and to honour in this way and celebrate such important work for the elevation of human dignity. And in this, and on behalf of the High Commissioner for Human Rights, Michelle Bachelet, who expresses her deep regret that it is I speaking to you tonight as instead of her, we want to thank the wonderful City of Geneva for their ability to create such spaces as these. They are at the forefront of cities for human rights globally, and we honour their hospitality. We want to thank Hans and Dick and the wonderful jury of the Martin Ennals Award for your vision, your stamina and your courage. But most of all, the High Commissioner was so keen that she have opportunity to celebrate the nominees for this year's Martin Ennals Award. For, you know, it's standing here with you, through you, that we have the privilege to be in solidarity with human rights defenders the world over, with those who struggle, who fight, who search, who imagine, and who insist, and often at great personal cost, but demand simply this, that all human rights be enjoyed by all. In these extraordinary laureates and nominees that Martin Ennals Award has illuminated for us over 25 years now, par excellence this evening, in their example, we have a human face to courage. It's their work that places compassion and justice at the heart of public participation. It's their action that puts not complaint and wound at the centre, but solutions. Doable, affordable, compelling solutions rooted in human rights answers to human wrongs. You know, the Martin Ennals Award for Human Rights Defenders is passing its quarter-century mark. It's a resonant age. It's a time to consider just how far we've come over the course of this past century. Since 1994, in fact, enormous progress has been won, thanks in large part to human rights defenders and the milieu of civil society action behind them. Great progress in terms of undoing discrimination, enhancing health, decreasing hunger, dismantling extreme poverty. Today, there is a global architecture of organisations working to promote and defend human rights. There's international criminal tribunals. There's independent accountability mechanisms. There are national and regional human rights institutions. There are deeply rooted, locally bound human rights movements and civil society organisations. And since 1994, millions of people have worked bravely to demand a more lived version of those democratic values to which so many societies promise, and yet against whose measure so many fail. For all these advances, today, to put it mildly, we live in a time of great unease. Spiteful, vindictive narratives are whipping up mindless hatred between communities. In countries, in regions the world over, we can see the evidence of growing repression of these fundamental rights, the rights to participate in decisions that affect us, of our rights to come together, to organise, to express our views, to have our views heard. The threat and attack against civic space, civil society activists, human rights defenders is on the increase. Extraordinarily, in this decade, the numbers of laws and policies restricting the possibilities of taking part in society have increased, preventing the forming of associations, impeding receipt of funds, criminalising the provision of life-saving services, human rights defenders vilified as traitors and terrorists, confronting campaigns of hate against their work, of discrimination, of harassment and intimidation. Human rights defenders arbitrarily detained, human rights defenders' movement impeded, left unprotected to face threat, intimidation, gender-based violence, even murder. Surely it's extraordinary that those most at risk today are people defending the rights of women, people standing up for labour rights, those fighting discrimination against LGBTIQ people. It's journalists who are being targeted, those investigating and exposing human rights abuse. It is environmental defenders who are dying at unprecedented rates. And it is those standing up for migrants and refugees who are under grave intimidation. Friends, they stood up for us. We must stand up for them. We have to act more decisively to protect those under threat. We must honour more profoundly those who pay such high price. We must never forget their loss, nor take their contribution for granted, nor accept the impunity that so often accompanies the tragic treatment to which they're subjected. We must defend the defenders. Yes, it's true. We've got to step up our engagement with those around the world who feel far left behind by the rapid global change and their fear that is manifesting in so-called populist movements. We must understand that in their disenchantment with economic promises not kept, electoral commitments not met and development fruits not shared, they are turning against all sorts of institutions, the United Nations included. They feel we cannot be trusted, that we cannot, as the United Nations, be trusted to act in their best interests, that multilateral action is an empty, hollow delusion. To those people, too, who feel their needs are being ignored and their voices left unheard, we must reach out. But it is with those whose rights are being denied, derailed and dismantled, it is with them that we must stand in clear-minded solidarity. We must do more. We must hammer home this message that criticism and dissent do not constitute terrorism. To the contrary, they are a preventive tool against development of grievances. And when governments shut down the voices of their people, they undermine the ability of the state to do its rightful task, to address important concerns and real needs. When they shut down their people, they erode the very sustainable development, security and peace agendas to which they otherwise pledge. It's why the High Commissioner asked me to thank all of you who have worked so hard to create the momentum that is the Martin Ennals Prize. Thank you for your leadership, your partnership, and for your stamina. Thank you for paving the way for us to go further together, to do more, to mobilise broader communities of support and solidarity across the world. This evening, we pay particular tribute to 3 exemplary human rights defenders, Marino, Eren, and Abdul Aziz. It is such an honour to be in your presence. Thank you for the wonder of your work, for the succour of your courage, and for the extraordinary inspiration. And Eren, with whom colleagues in my office have worked for over many years, we are so deeply proud of your work and of all that you have done in regard specifically to gender-based violence. Friends, human rights defenders are simply essential to our common dignity. James Baldwin, whose literary mastery wielded pen in writing of wrongs, specifically of wrongs done to people of African descent. On one occasion, he addressed another extraordinary human rights defender, Angela Davis, who at that time had been detained in prison. And he wrote this: "We must fight for your life as if it were our own, which it is." We must fight for your life as if it were our own, which it is, and render impassable with our lives, with our bodies, the corridor to the gas chamber. Render impassable the corridor that leads inexorably down to the gas chamber. For he said, if they come for me this morning, they will come for you tonight. Kofi Annan encouraged us to see it in these terms. When the rights of human rights defenders are violated, all our rights are in jeopardy. All of us are made less safe. Well, friends, the reverse is true. We are more protected, we are more respected, we are more encouraged on our pathways to sustainable and inclusive progress because of Eren, Marino, and Abdul Aziz. They stood up for us. Let's stand up for them. Let's stand up for human rights.
Thank you so much, Kate Gilmore. We'll see you back on this stage very soon. C'est enfin le moment de faire plus ample connaissance avec notre finaliste, avec Abdul Aziz Muhamat. Parti adolescent de sa patrie, le Darfour, déchiré par la guerre au Soudan, il vit depuis des années maintenant dans différents camps de rétention en Papouasie-Nouvelle-Guinée, l'Australie pratiquant une politique des réfugiés extrêmement sévère. Abdul Aziz Muhamat is a refugee from Sudan. He left Darfur as an adolescent because of the war, and despite having a valid claim as a refugee in Australia, he has been kept for 5 years, more than 5 years, on the island of Manus in Papua New Guinea due to the Australian refugee policy that many have labelled cruel. Here is his story.
I know it's like death or life because I do not have any other options. My first attempt to cross the oceans, I didn't make it, and I have lost 5 of my friends. That memory is still on the back of my head. What I did was, I just overcome my fear.
The Australian government has a strict policy on refugees, holding them in what it calls processing centres. They look more like prison camps. And those camps aren't even in Australia. One is on Manus Island in Papua New Guinea, the other in the Pacific Island nation.
They took us forcibly to Papua New Guinea, Manus Island. The phone that we are using, it is really illegal, and they can confiscate the phone from us. The immigration minister, he has visited us with only 3 words: "You will never and ever come to Australia." He turned his back and he walked away, and they have played the video.
You have been brought to this place here because you have sought to illegally enter Australia by boat. The new Australian government will not be putting up with those sorts of arrivals. If you have a valid claim, you will not be resettled in Australia. You will never live in Australia. If you are found not to be a refugee, you will remain in this camp until you decide to go home. And so I urge you to think carefully about that decision and make a decision to get on with the rest of your life.
Conditions really terrible. It's a kind of a hangar. We call it like a chicken house. 122 people of a different nationality. There's no breezeway. According to what we heard, we're gonna be here only for a couple of months. I've been following a lot and very closely about the ongoing crisis in Sudan.
Darfur may have faded from the world's attention, but for many the conflict has never left. War and famine have plagued this region since February 2003.
I was between 15 and 16 years old. We ran from the villages until we found some shelters. My parents, they say, "Look, Aziz, you have to go. We have seen the rebels are hovering around the camps and they were looking for young men like you, my son, and they will abdicate you. Leave us here and just go." I took only my clothes and I walked away. This is now the 3rd Ramadan that we have been spending here on this island without our families near to us. We need to know what's going to happen to us. Some people, they're just cutting themselves. I always say to myself, like, I'm out of this center, I'm out of this center. And I repeat it like maybe 100 times, oh, I'm out of the center, I'm not in the center, I'm not in the center. To keep my mind strong.
That's my bed. That's where I sleep.
The Supreme Court in Papua New Guinea has ruled the detention of asylum seekers on Manus is illegal. The court has ordered the PNG and Australian governments to cease the practice immediately.
Today they have announced the closure of center will be on 31st of October, and you guys are not allowed to stay here. You have to leave the place.
Clear message to the government, the PNG government and Australian government. that we are not going to leave this detention center to another detention center. We only want freedom in a safe country, and it is a clear message.
What we want?
Freedom!
What we want?
Freedom!
What we want? Freedom!
When you cry or when you scream, no one can hear you. So, and I thought that is a better idea for me to be the messenger, to be the voice of everyone, so that the other people will hear. It doesn't matter where I'm going to end up. We are just 10 more days left for us. So I don't know what exactly is going to happen to us. Everyone is really anxious and depressed and worried, especially when they say that they're going to use the force. Today they have announced in the Senate that they are going to cut the water and the power, including the food. The immigration came in this afternoon to destroy everything that we have built, to destroy our water supplies. The rubbish bin that we saved some water in it, they kick it down, the water went on the ground, and we built some shelters that also they destroyed. They went and then they cut everything that we put around, like the line to put our clothes on top of it. And some of them, they keep saying that this is our land and you guys have to move from this place. You are not supposed to stay in our country, you go back to your country and move out of our land.
They cut the services on Manus Island. We have been denied our basic needs, water and food and electricity. That does not mean that we are going to surrender. We have been in this place for 4.5 years and we have not committed any crime.
If we leave this place, no one is going to guarantee our safety. They removed us from the previous detention center to a new detention by force, beating, handcuffing. This place may look a bit better, but it's still prison. The situation still look the same.
And to present the award, I welcome back Madame Kate Gilmore, United Nations Deputy High Commissioner for Human Rights. Madame Kate Gilmore, la haute commissaire adjointe des Nations Unies aux droits de l'homme, qui va remettre le 25e prix Martin Ennals pour les droits humains à Abdul Aziz Muhamat.
I feel a little bit cold and shaking, so don't get me wrong. It's my first time to be in a cold place. Bonjour, madame et messieurs. Salam.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Salam.
Thank you to all the representatives of the international community and to the people of Geneva for taking your time out to attend this amazing ceremony. And to all my brothers and sisters around the world, and particularly to my best friends and the heroes on Manus Island and Nauru. Thank you to the Martin Annual Award jury for selecting me or for picking me, and to the City of Geneva for hosting me, and to the Swiss government for allowing me to come to this country. I never dreamed about it in my life all to come to this country one day. And still, I'm in Swiss today, or I'm in Geneva, but I feel like, no, I'm still in Manus. I don't feel like I'm in Geneva. It's not like a real. I pay my admirations and respect to the other finalists, especially to my brother, Mario, and to my sister, Eren. Unfortunately, she's not able to be with us. It's not an easy to be in a place where you fight for your rights, but unfortunately there are so many boundaries on the roads, and there are so many walls that you have to jump. Every day you have to jump, one after another. One door open, another door close. It is such an important and courage for people like us to stand up, and I believe there are many people in this room, they have stood up for the right of the others. And today we believe that it is not from where I come from. I come from a place where the rights of a human rights defenders it's undermined, and the rights of refugees always disrespected, and we have been discriminated and segregated in our own country. I experienced a war in the country where the current president of the country is accused as on the International Criminal Court as a criminal. He has committed genocide on Darfur. I'm a victim of that genocide. I managed my way to go all the way far from Sudan to start fighting for the people who are left behind in Darfur, and to the people who are even still the victims around the world. But unfortunately, I found myself locked up in one of the democratic countries, one of the Western countries that believe in democracy and in justice. I found myself locked like an animal in the cage. I accept this award on behalf of all the asylum seekers around the world, and particularly those people who have stood up with me, fought with me, supported me, and I wouldn't do it alone. And I wouldn't do it without your supports. And most importantly, this award, it means a lot. It is just not mean one thing to us, but it means that today we are so happy that the international community recognize our existence, our struggle, our fights, and they made us to believe that there is a hope for another day. And the hope that we have lost. We have lost hope, we have lost faith, and we struggle to survive, not day to day, but hour after an hour. Not an easy to be incarcerated in a place where all the fingers pointed at you as a criminal, and all the word that you hear from people surrounding you that you have made a mistake. Why do you come to this country? And you deserve to be in detention center. While you cannot even, they will not even give you a chance to define yourself or to express yourself in a way that to tell them, no, I'm only seeking your protection. I'm not seeking something else. And I'm here to contribute, to be part of your community, to support, to offer my best ears. But unfortunately, when you are powerless, people never listen to you. So I took this path to stand up and fight for the rights of everyone on Manus Island. And through my roads, the 5 years that I spent on Manus Island, I have faced so much. I have been harassed, I have been put in a jail from the detention center, solitary confined, and they deprive me my own space to move around. And all I hear from them is, you are a troublemaker, or you are not supposed to be where you are. And why you always complain? Because you came from a war, and you came from a place where there is a conflict, and you came from a place that there is no safety. Why you always complain? And the reason why I can tell why I complain because in my country, normally people will be tortured physically, and you know yourself you are going to die. But it's one of the worst elements that we see today. People have been tortured mentally or psychologically, that it is going to be with you and it's going to affect you on your daily life. And as an example, for my 3 days that I've been here in Geneva, every day before I go to bed, I have to look around, where are my friends? Where are my friends? Where are the people that I always look after them? Because it's part of my routine in Manus Island that to look after 30 or 35 people every day, trying to give them a hope, trying to tell them that please stay alive for the next day. Despite that hope, it's a fake hope or false hope, but I wanted to save the life of those people. And it's not such an easy thing to do that. I know too many of you today in this room, they are wondering that how did I get here? And even myself, I'm wondering, how did I come here? I'm far away from Manus, 1,000 kilometers away, far from Manus, but my thoughts are still on Manus. When I came to Australia, I was 20 years old. Young man, energetic, and has so much to share and to offer. But in the States, I have been put in a cage for the last 6 years. But that cage, instead of making me weak, the cage made me so strong. The cage even gave me, a chance to meet people, beautiful people like you, to meet the right people, the people who are always fighting day and night for the rights of the others. And it's not such an easy path. But I have to be strong. I have to speak on behalf of everyone else. We can't stay. They send us to PNG. We can't stay in PNG because it's not safe, and we have no right to stay. And we can't go to another country because Australia won't allow us. And we can't come to Australia because we wealth more to the politician in Australia. So when you stay on Manus, you wealth more for the politician in Australia. We are thousands of kilometers away from Australia, but every element of our life, every decisions, everything in that place where we are, it's been dictated by the Australian politician, or in one context I say Australian governments. We were forcibly removed in 2013. We were forcibly removed and handcrafted against our will to Manus Island. And all we did is we seek a protection from Australia. But Australia sent us to a place where there is no protection, as in Papua New Guinea. In the last 5 years, I have lost 12 people, my best friends, the people that I look after, and I always regret that, why I didn't do whatever it takes to save the life of those people. But unfortunately, I was powerless. I have nothing in my hand to offer. And those people, 11 of them have lost their life due to the medical negligence. We have been denied fundamental basic things, medical access. There is no proper hospital where we can get a treatment. There is no proper psychological award that we can talk to the counselors to tell them what happened to us. All we get is, there is one big question mark, go back where you come from and you are not welcome in our country. This is all we get. 2014, when we start protesting as a simple, and the word is a freedom. We want freedom, we want justice. And we end up by losing one of our close friends. And as an example, he has been beaten to a death. And today, I'm standing here to share his story. And these awards will be for the 12 people who have lost their life, and will be for the people who are still incarcerated on Manus Island and Nauru. We are not forgotten. And we are today so happy that we are not forgotten. And I still can say that the Manus people today, they are not sleeping. They are still awake. It's 4 a.m. in Australia or 3 a.m. in Manus Island, but people are still awake. They want to know the conclusion of this. They want to know how much the international community want to offer or want to support them. The refugees and asylum seekers on Manus Island today, they become as a community. They are fighting together in one hand because they believe that if they don't unite, they don't become as a one community, they cannot look after each other. And the way that we look after each other, even more than the way even we have seen our own parents. In 5 years, every single day you wake up in the morning, the first thing you see when you open your eyes is the fence, 2-meter fence higher, or you see your friends. And when you see them, you don't see them in a good shape, you always see them in a bad shape. And you wonder that, what will we do to support that person? What can we do? What can I offer to you? And in the other hand, you see a people who are wearing a gray uniform that always pointing finger at you, like they look at you in a way that you are not even a human being. You are not a criminal. You are not an animal. You are just a number. And one of the sad things that for me and for everyone on Manus Island and Nauru, we are known to the Australian government as a numbers. They have erased our names. They have stolen our identity. And they gave us a number. And guess what is my number? My name, it's not my number. My name is QNK002. And if I don't use that number, I don't get water to drink. If I don't use that number, I don't get food to eat. And if I don't use that number, I don't get medical access. And I have to repeat this number for the last 6 years, and it's become my name. It took so long for me to speak or to repeat my name, to call Aziz. It's not such an easy to call my name. Not easy things. Despite my involvement with the journalists, every day they ask me a question, what is your name? Tell us what's your name. My name is QNK002. And imagine 5-year-old kids or a baby born kid in detention center, he will be given a number. And that baby, all he knows is the fence, and all he knows is the detention center, and his name is a number. He hasn't got a name. Imagine where we have gone. This is an historical moment today. This is an historical moment, and I would like to take this opportunity to congratulate the people on Manus Island, the refugees on Manus Island and Nauru. And most importantly, I would like to congratulate to all the refugees around the world. Speak up for your rights. No matter where they put you, speak up for your rights. Try to overcome your fears. And I believe there are so many young men and so inspired young men like myself around the world in every refugee detention center or refugee camp around the world. They are fearing of persecutions. They are fearing of the harassment. They are fearing of being tortured. But sometimes, as a human being, you have to have that kind of feeling that try to victimize yourself, put yourself in a front page, sacrifice yourself for the sake of others. Freedom is not free. You have to pay for it. And the payment has to be your sacrificial. And the payment that we are paying today on Manus and Nauru, it's the sacrificial that we are doing. And I took this golden opportunity to sacrifice myself, to put myself in the front, and to come all the way here to share this such amazing story. And I cannot call it amazing story, but this is one of the sad stories that you never get to hear. And this is the story that, you need to feel it. You don't need to think about it. Don't think about it. I don't want you to think about this story, but feel it. Imagine losing your humanity and replace it with cruelty and inhumane. Imagine putting innocent people who are vulnerable people, seek your protections, putting them and expose them to such a cruel and inhumane conditions that make them even lose faith of their existence, lose faith of God, even God existence, despite those people are mainly from a countries that always, Muslim countries or Christian countries, Jewish, they believe and they have a strong belief. But the situation that they found themselves in forced them even to step away from that and think that God does not even exist. It's not such an easy thing. Once again, I would like to say thank you very much for this moment. And I would like to say also thank you very much for the international community once again for taking this opportunity to listen to our story and for sharing our story, for being here. And most importantly also I would like to thank you very much to the Swiss government for this opportunity. And I'm only going to be here for 2 weeks and I will still going to go back to Manus. And people are waiting for me. People are believing that they are watching very close. They are waiting for me to share this award with them and to let them know that the international community acknowledge our existence, our resilience, our struggle, and most importantly, it's going to be an historical moment for us. Thank you very much. Once again, thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Aziz. And I have a little secret. Aziz is going to be 26 years old this Sunday, coming Sunday. It's the first time he's going to be free for his birthday. So I think we should all sing for him a happy birthday in advance. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you, Aziz. Happy birthday to you. And now I call the president of the foundation, Martin Ennals, Dick Hosting, qui va nous rejoindre, donc le président de la fondation Martin Ennals, qui va nous donner quelques mots pour clore cette cérémonie. C'est pas facile de passer après Aziz, hein?
It's not easy to take the floor after Aziz.
Impossible to follow on from Aziz, but this is also protocol. You started beautifully with the protocolaire list of dignitaries, and we have ended with 3 wonderful people. And what I'm due to do is say words of thanks. There have been many words of thanks already. And the biggest thanks, obviously, go to Aziz, to Marino, and to Eren for being such an inspiration and such an example. Nonetheless, that said, let me just very briefly repeat who make this all possible for us as a Martin Ennals Foundation and as a Martin Ennals community to make this happen. Switzerland, Geneva, Swiss government, federal government, the canton, and most of all, the City of Geneva, with whom we have a long-term partnership, and that is championed by Sandrine Salerno. Thank you very much. It's not just Swiss, there's also international support, in particular from a number of governments, and these are in no particular order: Ireland, the Netherlands, Denmark, Liechtenstein, and Norway. And we have an international private donor in Brood for the World, year on year. And why do they support us? It's the independent jury of 10 human rights organizations that give us credibility and depth. And I think it is good. You have seen them on the screen a number of times, but I always want to mention them. Amnesty International, Human Rights Watch, Frontline Defenders, Human Rights First, the International Federation for Human Rights, FIDH, the International Service for Human Rights, Huri Docs, Brood für die Welt again, and the International Commission of Jurists and the World Organization Against Torture. That is the jury. And finally, I too would like to thank my old comrade Hans Tollen for having been the driving force from the very start of this award. He leaves the board, but he'll continue as chair for the jury. Hans, thank you very much for standing up for human rights defenders. And thank you all for being here, Geneva.